I didn't even know you could eat this. I am like absolutely blown away by this. This may have been the coolest tour I've ever done. What's up, Tangerinis? We can hardly contain our excitement today because it is a special day, a more special day than the special days that we usually think it is. Where are we headed?
We are going to the town of Tequila. Tequila,
Jalisco, for a behind-the-scenes look at this. Might be your drink. No. For a behind-the-scenes look at Herradura, a special, extra special. I just keep saying special because I'm so excited. I can't think of other words.
We're going to show you how tequila is made. We're going to do a tour of their distillery, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other fun stuff
that we don't even know about yet. So we are going to be taking a quick drive, about an hour or so?
Yeah.
An hour or so to this city. Stay tuned. We are now here at Casa Herradura. We walked through the hacienda where we are not allowed to film because the workers are still living and working here, and then also after coming through there where it's sort of this small village looking area, then you come to the house where the family still lives here.
The original owners
Yes, the original family. So this place has been around for 400 years now. We are just getting started with this tour here, and we are now standing in front of...
This is a blue agave plant. You can see that it's probably taller than MADDIE is. They don't harvest it until it gets to be 7 or 8 years old, when it's as ripe as it can be.
So there's still 3 more years to go on this guy, which is incredible. He was saying that it gets wider and the base part of it gets even thicker, and that's when it is ripe enough to harvest. Already learned that Herradura harvests all of its own agave, meaning it doesn't buy from other producers. Everything is planted themselves using natural fertilizer, no chemicals, so that they have full control over the whole process.
So right now I'm next to an agave plant, and it has this little baby agave plant right here. It actually reproduces itself, so it's taking the nutrients from the big plant and then it creates some of these little baby plants around it, and then they can uproot these little baby plants and replant them somewhere else. That's how they can continue to grow.
So this is a baby agave. So when we have it this big, we take it away from the mother, we cut some pricky leaves, and then we cut this last part, and then we plant it. We dig a hole in the soil and we plant it. So once we plant it, when the agave is about 4 years old, we start having the sprouts, the baby ones. And then when the baby one is 1 year old like this, we take it away and we replant it.
Oh, so this is about 1 year old?
This is about 1 year old.
Okay.
After we harvest, we have to cut it in two because we cut that last part. That is called cogollo. From the cogollo, the prickling leaf is produced, is born. But we cut this last part because, I'll show you. You see that type of web?
Yeah.
The agave, on the prickling leaves, the agave has this kind of web, which is a type of wax. The wax protects the agave from losing water, and the wax protect the agave from the environment if it is too cold or too hot. We cut this last part because if we cook it with this, that wax is going to add a bitter flavor to the heart of the agave. That's part of the recipe.
You
That's
do
why
not
we
want
cut
that.
it.
Okay.
We leave it there.
And remove that. Okay.
Yes.
And it's just that one small part?
Yes, that's small part because the rest of the wax was on the leaves, and then we cut the leaves already. So leaves remains on fields and becomes fertilizers. So after we harvest one of these land of agaves, we leave the land with no agaves for about 5 or 6 months. Later, we go there, we remove the soil, we fertilize organics, and then we plant baby agaves again, and then we wait again 7 or 8 years in order to have the agave ready. ripe to produce tequila Herradura.
So with each of these hearts, they weigh approximately 80 pounds, which will eventually equal
6 liters of tequila.
6 liters of tequila. That is just insane.
And I don't know about you, but I thought this was super cool watching him chop all this.
So the man doing this, he is called a jimador, and he is using this tool called a coa, C-O-A, to chop off all these leaves, and it does look extremely sharp for how thick the leaves are and for how thick this 80-pound heart is. Just sliced right through it, like watch out, you'll lose a finger. You have to stand a little bit far away from these ovens because it's pretty loud here, but hopefully you can still hear us. We're standing in front of about 20 tons of agave hearts.
They have all these ovens lined up here, and in each oven they put 48 tons. So 2.5 times what's right behind us here. And this is an enormous pile.
Huge. And he was saying that here at Herradura they use
brick and clay
ovens as opposed to iron ovens because that allows them to steam it for 26 hours at an ideal temperature as opposed to in iron ovens where it takes about 10 hours. It's a much higher temperature and the flavor is just not as good. It's not as high a quality. And then they allow 24 hours for it all to cool inside of there before they take it out.
I think it's pretty crazy to think that these plants were planted 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, there's hundreds of years of agave right here. This is just wild. They have a number of ovens here, like I don't know.
At least a dozen.
At least a dozen or more.
I haven't counted.
And I mean, think of how many tons of agave that is. It's just insane. From everything that we've learned so far, the focus on quality is immensely high. They're not switching to these new iron ovens, which might make it faster. They're still using the traditional method of these older styles of oven for a longer amount of time. And just like they're not harvesting it 4 years when they're big enough or good enough, they're waiting the full 7 years for them to be perfectly ripe.
And they're not purchasing their agave from a bunch of different producers. They own all their own agave. It's all organic. I think that's pretty awesome.
We're standing here in front of these ovens now trying this cooked agave, which we're apparently supposed to chew but not eat the fiber of. So I didn't even know you could eat this. Oh my gosh, it's so sweet. It's like, kind of reminds me of what a really, really sweet pumpkin might taste like.
Oh yeah, this has a really great flavor to it. Now I'm standing in front of where they take the cooked agave from the ovens. These are the back sides of the ovens, and it smells really good here. There's like a strong smell of cooked sweetness. I don't really know how to describe it. He was just telling us everything here is self-sufficient. They're a 100% green company that produces no pollution. We think that's pretty darn cool. So we showed you that 20 tons of agave earlier, and this truck right over my right shoulder is actually full of agave as well, and each one of those trucks is 20 tons. So they need about 2.5 trucks full just to fill one oven.
So far we're pretty much seeing every step of the process here on these grounds, from the harvesting to ovens where it's being cooked and then where they pull out syrup from it, and now we are walking to the fermentation area.
Yep, and then the distillation and then the aging process.
All of this is here. It's not like you're being told about this where it's happening somewhere in the world. It's all here.
Yeah, coming here, I literally thought it was going to be one building. I don't know what I pictured, why I pictured that, but there's so much more to it than I ever could have imagined. We're walking under these pipes right now, and these pipes are going from where the agave is cooked to the fermentation process. Through these pipes are agave honey, agave juices, and some purified water.
We are getting close now to the fermentation area, and this is something I find absolutely fascinating. They don't add anything to the mixture that they're putting for the fermentation. They rely on the environment, the microorganisms that are around here in order to eat the sugar and then produce the alcohol. So they plant citrus trees like lemons, limes, mandarin, guava, pomegranate, so that it attracts those special microorganisms that are needed for this process. I am like absolutely blown away by this. So yeah, you see all these trees and the black parts on the leaves, that's the microorganisms that are attracted by the citrus and that therefore get inside the agave mixture that they have here and then produce the alcohol. 8 meters? 8 meters tall, oh my gosh. Wow.
Put your hand here and you feel a lot of heat coming off. I feel like I'm gonna burn my hand. I'm told it's safe. And suddenly there's no heat. These giant 8-meter tall containers, these open top containers, all this heat's coming off of it, but it's completely natural. They're not adding any heat to it, which seems crazy to me. I would have thought for sure that they were heating this up.
So this is the carbon dioxide, CO2, being released?
Yes, because the microorganisms consuming sugar, producing alcohol, and also exhaling CO2. Since there are billions and billions, that's why it bubbles.
That's where the bubbling effect comes from?
But then you get the aroma. It smells terrific.
Yeah,
right?
it's very sweet. It's kind of like a more concentrated version of what the agave
right.
tasted like, sort of.
So for 4 days here in Casa Herradura it bubbles, it boosts, because there is a lot of sugar to consume. These microorganisms from the environment are consuming the sugars. After 4 days it goes slow and stops, which means that the microorganisms on the environment consume all the sugar. Since there is no sugar, it dies.
Okay.
But then after 4 days it turns sugar into 5% alcohol per volume.
Just 5% here.
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious to know where the rest of it comes
I'll
from.
tell you about it.
So after the juices ferment in this building over here, you have a 5% alcohol liquid that's then pumped into these containers, and here is where the distillation takes place. It's put into these stills, and there's different types of alcohols in here. Something they call heads, something they call tails, and then what they call the heart. The heads and tails are the alcohols they don't want. So they get rid of those, and after 3 hours in the first still, you're left with a 25% alcohol. So from there, they have to go into another still for another 6 hours. That's where you get Herradura Tequila Blanco, which is 55% alcohol. I was surprised to know that it was that high of percentage. Most of the tequila they sell is not the 55% alcohol. To get a reposado or an añejo tequila or an extra añejo, they're going to put it into wooden barrels and let the flavors of the tequila mix with the flavors from the wood. For their reposado, they keep it in there for 11 months. Their añejo, they keep it in there for 25 months, and their extra añejo is 49 months. We're going to get to try all of those. That'll be pretty cool to taste the differences of how the different amount of time in the wood makes the flavors change. So I've been pumped to try all of these, but more than anyone, this one.
I gotta say, even though I'm hoping we're doing a really good job showing you the ins and the outs of this place and giving you the most important and fun facts and details, I don't think there's anything that could come close to actually being here and being able to taste the freshly cooked agave, to feel the heat from the fermentation process.
All the different smells and aromas as you move from station to station.
And just see all of these things in person.
We enjoyed it so much. In a couple weeks, we're gonna go back and take their Herradura Express.
Because we honestly sort of felt like this was some good taste of Herradura, but not quite enough, and there was another option for us to do, which is this package experience going on the train into the town of Tequila. So we are doing that in a few weeks. Stay tuned for that. I can't even stay tuned for that. I'm too excited. So if you guys are interested in checking out this whole fun tour and behind the scenes look at Herradura as well, we're just gonna go ahead and put all the details that you might need down below in the description. This may have been the coolest tour I've ever done. I just had so many misconceptions about tequila and didn't really know the history, and even though it's my favorite alcohol in the world, I knew none of this. Yeah, go ahead and check out the description if you need any of those details, if you want to take a tour.
One note of clarification, although we are very, very close to the town of Tequila, this is not technically in Tequila. This
just outside of the city.
It's in Amatitan. So notice how they have horseshoes all over the place here, even above the ovens. That's because Herradura means horseshoe, hence their logo.
We are now looking at types of Herradura tequila.
Fair warning, I've never been great at drinking tequila.
I think it's strong, but it's not like you get some terrible bite with some tequilas where you're like, oh, this is just powerful, lots of, 55% alcohol.
Until you lose the burning, then you get a lot of aromas,
Yeah.
flavors in your mouth. But this is the first, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time these are for connoisseurs, because when you are not used to drink tequila, that might be kind of
Powerful.
powerful.
All right, so next up is the Blanco Original. This is the first Tequila Herradura produced back in 1870, and what they do to make this one is take the one that's straight from the still, which has 55% alcohol, and add purified water to reduce the alcohol volume down to 46.
Also a lot of flavor in it too, but it is smooth. So it's
I like that.
no faces at all.
This is Añejo, aged 25 months, 40% alcohol.
I could hardly feel it go onto my tongue. That's how smooth it was at first. That's why I was like, did I drink any? You're gonna like that. I don't think it gets much smoother than that, but it might.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, did I even get any in my mouth? That was how smooth it felt.
Cristalino añejo. Añejo cristalino.
So I've been pumped to try all of these, but more than anyone, this one.
Yeah, I mean, it tastes so much sweeter too. And it's smooth. That's very, very smooth.
Oh my gosh, I could drink this all day.
After trying all of these, which do you think is your favorite?
Not a single one of them was bad.
Which is saying a lot because Jordan does not like drinking straight tequila. He's like a pina colada kind of guy.
Or margarita.
Or margarita.
I like margaritas. Añejo and Herradura Ultra were probably my two favorite. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the Ultra.
Because it's a little sweeter. I'm going to have to go with the Añejo because it was just so smooth and sippable. We would like to introduce our lovely tour guide Jose, who is a third generation, right, of Jimador. So his father and also his grandfather were also Jimadors, and that is how you are so knowledgeable in this whole process. You've actually gone through and basically experienced it all firsthand. So thank you very much for doing this tour for us. We learned so much, and it was all so easy to understand too, and really a lot of fun.
Thank you for coming, and we appreciate people like you come here to be interested in our tequila, which is we are proud of, right? Because Tequila Herradura has to do with a lot of families, generation families,
Traditions.
and workers, right? So we would like you to help us to let people know that what we do here is tequila, but it's part of our identity, you know?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so I can see why you're proud of it. There's
A lot to be proud of.
Yeah, there really is.
From the beginning to end, there's so much care in every single part of the process, including making sure that there's no bad environmental effects. There are so many companies that just only care about profits, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. It's like you want the end product to be something that people would really love, and then also make sure that it's leaving a good environment for future generations to come. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up.
And subscribe to our channel if you're just excited as we are for the Herradura Express going to the town of Tequila that you guys have wanted us to do forever. I'm dancing now, I don't know why. And gong that bell so you get notified when we post the Herradura Express video.
I should do some stretching
Oh
before
my
that.
god. Don't gong the bell without stretching, you guys. See you in the next one.